guys, I'm Joe.
And I'm Matt.
Of BeardedGuysGaming. So we're really excited. We're finally sitting down and coming up with a series of dual cast streaming tips to help you out with your streaming or video making, whatever it is, if you're doing it with your best friend. In these videos, you're going to find things that'll hopefully help you along your journey. Things such as monitors and peripherals,
capture cards,
the 2 and 3 PC setup. We're going to talk about sound, OBS, and the little tips and tricks that we do to kind of get our stream running the way it does. So here we go.
Woo!
Part 1 of our 3-part series, we're going to talk about chemistry, some of the pros and cons, and some of the costs associated with dual streaming.
So one of the larger topics that I think kind of gets overlooked a lot when it comes to like dual casting has got to be like chemistry, relationship, and like just really dynamic of the group.
We're not in a relationship.
Well, that actually gets asked a lot if you think about it, right? So there's more to just like the hardware and software side of things, okay? You know, Matt and I have known each other for what, 25 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been going on friends for 25 years. And there's a chemistry there and a dynamic that you just don't find a lot of places. But at the same time, we also have very different personalities, right? Like I'm the very opinionated, talk a lot.
And I'm very quiet, but a lot of times though, my facial expressions can get the best of him.
So, you know, that being said, that's something you can't just pick up right away. But let's say you're trying to dual cast and you have a friend or you have, you know, maybe a spouse or someone in a relationship or your significant other. There might be a chemistry that works really well, very similar to Matt and I. And you could capitalize on that with dual streaming. But there are some challenges you're going to face. And here are some of the things that Matt and I face. So you got to remember, there's 2 different guys, 2 different personalities, 2 different mindsets. I'm the gamer, actually. I mean, we stream games for a living, but I'm the gamer, Matt.
Yeah, it's funny. When I leave here, a lot of times, I don't game until I come back here.
Yeah, and I'm usually still gaming the same game whenever he left. But, you know, I do a lot of the game seeking and play a lot of games, and but I find that I enjoy it more when Matt's over and we're gaming together on stuff, right? And there's sometimes games that I kind of hold off. But what happens when you're going to stream, and let's say Matt comes over, and Matt's just not feeling that game? That's going to create a complication with your stream that day, right? So there's a lot of communication that Matt and I have to have beforehand. You know, we sit down once a month.
Oh, yeah.
Once a week, you know, and talk about the different things that we're going to try to tackle or different games we're going to play. You know, if Matt's not feeling that game in the morning and he's like, hey, dude, look, I know we planned on playing this. He's like, but I don't want to play it. We have to pull out an audible. We have to do something different.
And unfortunately, the stream can tell when you're not feeling something. It comes across in your persona, and the stream can tell. So, you know, you need to make sure that you're enjoying what you're doing.
So the channel really benefits from the 2 of your personalities and the 2 of your gameplays, but you really got to have that discussions beforehand. So in our monthly and weekly meetings, and also right before the beginning of the stream, we kind of make sure that we're on the same page. If Matt's not feeling this, we try to make a compromise. It's super important. And there have been times that, like, you know, maybe one had to give more than the other, but it was for the benefit of the stream.
Absolutely.
Now, another thing you have to think about is, what happens when one of us doesn't feel good? Well, the other one's got to pick up the slack. There have been days, guys, where I just do not feel good, and I'm the talker, and we don't want to have, like, a Charlie Chaplin stream. All right?
Sure.
I'm just saying, we don't want to have a Charlie Chaplin stream, and Matt's had to pick up the slack. Or family things intervene, right, with the 2 of us. But where that may seem like kind of a problem, it actually is a huge benefit with dual cast streaming. Because if I got to do something with the kids, this guy can still keep the channel going. I mean, who doesn't want to just watch Matt sometimes and not listen to me? And so you have that benefit as a dual cast streamer to be able to do that. And that's really definitely a positive to dual cast streaming. You know, the stream can kind of just keep going on. But keep in mind that the strength really lies in the both of you working together, right? BeardedGuysGaming wouldn't be around without Matt, and it wouldn't be around without Joe.
Absolutely.
It takes the dynamic of both of us to make that chemistry really work. Some of the other things that you may find when it comes to challenging is, what happens if you have like inner game squabbles, right? So sometimes we run into where, you know, this guy's supposed to be watching my back, or I actually shot him with a gun.
I'm about dead. Guys, we're in the middle of fighting a battle.
Couple times.
You know, what that could literally be gold for the stream, and it really can.
Let's talk about Francesco.
Have you ever asked about Francesco?
How would I know to ask about Francesco? You had a little side closet Francesco action.
I built a fish tank with like 10 fish.
Yeah, and I was supposed to know to ask about some exotic Francesco.
Because you walk around outside going like this.
But make sure that it's not interfering, you know, offline. You got to remember when you're coming on, right? You're here to entertain. You have a community. You're enjoying what you're doing. You're kind of showcasing maybe games, or you're just talking about different things. But really, that relationship and that camaraderie and that you know, banter back and forth is what's really going to kind of propel your stream as a dual cast streamer. And you got to use that to your advantage. At the same time, make sure that it's not internally causing conflict, because you know, that can be a big deal. There have been times that Matt and I have seemed like, you know, we're really mad at each other. We're not. It's not. You know, we understand that it goes to a certain limit within the stream, and that's where it stays. Don't get me wrong. I pissed him off. And don't get me wrong, he's pissed me off. But we have to try to make sure that we keep that level balance. Now, something else that's really important would be something along the lines of like workload, right? So a lot of people don't realize that with streaming in general, you know, there's a lot of back-end work that has to happen. I mean, Matt, you set up all of like the OBS stuff, and he sets up all the scenes. Hell, you do all the YouTube video type stuff and the editing and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of hours that he goes home and puts that stuff in there. You know what I mean? And I do a lot of like, you know, the social media, talking with people. I do a lot of the talking on the actual stream itself. And you have to make sure you have a nice, healthy balance when it comes to that. You know, you're a team, right? A lot of channels have one person carrying that entire weight. Find a way to equally distribute that. And it's funny because sometimes you can feel like even with the two of you that you're just overwhelmed, you know? But make sure you're communicating that with your partner that you're streaming with. You know, that channel success really depends on, you know, the two of you kind of getting through that and making sure that you feel like things are being done, you know, equally. With that being said, think of the advantage you have as dual cast streamers, right? You know, Matt can go home and spend that time doing some video editing, and that's something that I don't have to worry about. Now, if Matt and I were single casters and we were wanting to put up videos as well as, you know, reach out to maybe some sponsors and stuff like that, Matt and I gotta, if we were by ourselves, have to do it all on our own. I mean, I feel like there's not enough hours in the week because on top of all of that, we're still trying to stream as well. So that is definitely a pro. You know, we all stream and do our thing, and we have people come in and they're talking in the chat, and we get busy, right? And it can be overwhelming at times. Sometimes you get dropped a big raid on you. Sometimes you just have a lot of people hanging out, showcasing a new game. One of the major benefits that Matt and I have, or dual cast streaming in general, is that there's two of you to handle the actual cast itself. So think about it. Matt can continue playing, and a lot of times I do what I do best, run my mouth. I talk to the chat. There are times that I don't play. We'll go over to his screen, play his game, and I'll sit back, just chit chat with you guys. It's one of the best things about dual streaming is that we have that option to do that. Or if we need to take a break, the stream doesn't get disrupted. I can get up and go take a break. And that is a huge pro to dual cast streaming. So let's talk about some more pros and cons when it comes to dual cast streaming. Okay. So here's one that kind of gets like overlooked a lot, right? Equipment.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? There's two of us. So we have to have double the stuff. There's got to be double cameras. There's got to be double mics. You know, I like Matt, but it'll be weird to sit on his lap the entire stream. I mean, while that will work in some streams, but it doesn't work in the chemistry of ours, right? Some chemistry, you know. But you got to think about the cost when it comes to that. That's something unique to streaming with dual casters that you have to kind of keep that in the you know, the foremind that Matt and I, for example, when we first started streaming, we had to think about the investment of what it was going to take to start this up, because it wasn't just something as simple as, hey, here's a camera, you know, here's a game and here's a PC, let's go to town. And that's just not how it works. We had to find out, how are we going to set this up? So here's something else that Matt and I kind of face a little bit. It's not really a challenge, but it's just something you have to keep in mind with dual cast streaming, right? So you're kind of restricted to multiplayer co-op games. while that's awesome because I always have a friend to play with, can kind of be a challenge, right? Let's say the new hottest game that's out that everybody wants to watch is, you know, out on the market, and you're like, hey, we want to play that. Yeah, but who are you going to watch play? You know? And that's one of the problems we've run into a little bit with streaming as dual casters, you know? You're kind of stuck and restricted to the multiplayer games and the co-op games. And while you can play some fascinating gameplay with that together, it can also lead to a little bit of restriction as to where you can go. But there are some ideas with single player, right? Like, let's say you do different playthroughs, or maybe Matt and I do a speed run against each other on a game we've never played. We played a couple spooky games.
Ooh.
Yeah, that wasn't fun. I think one of us was just hoping to get done, and then the other one would just be like, all right, good job. Hey, we completed it. Bearded Guys Gaming officially checked that off their box. So, but that is something you got to think about, that can be a kind of a challenge sometimes, and you're wanting to stay current on the most exciting games that are out there, but you are restricted to multiplayer. Now, that leads to something else kind of exciting. Dual streaming makes you super unique, right? There are like 1.5 million casters on Twitch at the moment, right? What sets you apart? We're all trying to find that thing that makes us unique in the channel and makes us unique and, you know, hey, come watch me. I wear ribbons on my head, or Matt has balloons on his face, you know, something like that. Or, hey, we have beards. But one thing that's automatically going to set you guys apart is your dual cast streaming. People are going down the directory and there's two guys on the same screen. Both fat, both bearded. Wow, let me check it out. So that offers something unique right off the bat. And that can be used in other areas, such as talking to partners and people that you want to work with. Maybe there's a peripheral company and you say, hey, look, here's what I have to offer. Or, hey, look, we got two different perspectives. If you guys know Matt and I, we are very, very, very different. So the things that Matt likes to do aren't always going to be the things that I like to do. And that offers a unique insight into the different things that we want to try out or showcase. So something else that's a really big thing out there for dual cast streamers that you really can benefit from is the fact that you have somebody there to kind of lift you up, right? Twitch streaming and YouTube streaming and all that stuff can be in a very big emotional roller coaster. You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, you're going to have, you know, goods and bads that are going to happen to you. And the benefit of having a dual cast stream is that you have, you know, someone there to get your back and somebody there to, you know, support you. The other bonus to that is another set of eyes. You know, there are times that Matt and I will look over something in our channel about how we were doing stuff and how we should approach things. And I'll be like, you know, I don't know how I like that. And, you know, this guy over here has to constantly be like, no, man, it looks good, or that looks fine, or you sounded fine, or you did terrific. And it really kind of helps out the channel. Sometimes when you're a single caster, you don't have that, and you don't have that feedback to give you right away from somebody else that gives you an outside perspective. Now, let's talk about one of the cons, or kind of the thing, it's not really a con, but it's something that we kind of run into quite a bit, is kind of conveying that you're a dual cast. A lot of times people just kind of automatically assume you're one person. And that even happens with companies, game companies, and businesses, and Twitch in general. There's been many times we've had to buy a ticket somewhere, or we needed a game key and we needed a second game key, that the processes are not in place for dual cast streaming. And we have to sometimes take extra steps and say, hey, by the way, just to let you know, there's two of us, two, you know, very large us's.
I.e. TwitchCon.
Yeah, great example was TwitchCon. In order to get our tickets for TwitchCon, we had to manually go through a different process and submit to make sure that the one channel got that. And it's not the fault of anybody else's. It's just that as dual cast streamers, we're pioneering that new way of how you approach things. I mean, you have to, somebody's got to kind of start the trend. And that's, again, why we're doing these videos, so that you guys have a little bit of guidance. I would say that's one of the most frustrating things we ran into.
Yep.
When we started this, you know, I told Matt, I said, hey, Matt, I said, can you put us both on the screen? You know, Matt had to explore all the ways to do that. And, you know, we had Skype that we tried doing, and you could see a screen and do this and that. And there were just a lot of limitations and not a lot of information. And that makes things really challenging at times. I mean, you know, nowadays you can just, let me go Google it real quick. Well, the problem is that go Google dualcast streamers, there's not a wealth of information out there. And that makes things a little more challenging. So that's one of the things that we're trying to bring to you guys, is a little another way to find some more resources.
Watch for our next video where we show you the gear that we use and how we make it work for a dualcast setup. If you have any questions about this video or details you want us to address in future videos, ask them in the comments section below.
What else?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Oh, God.
That was perfect though, wasn't it?
I don't think we're done yet. There's one line. He's been waiting for that one line, guys.